the sky was burning. Not with the familiar orange glow of the sun, but with streaks of silver fire tearing across the horizon. Cities shuddered as the first alien ships descended, massive monoliths of black metal that seemed to absorb light itself. Sirens screamed in the streets. People froze, their eyes lifted skyward, mouths opening in disbelief. No one had expected this. Not the governments, not the military, not even the scientists who had long speculated about life beyond Earth. Commander Valen stood on the bridge of the largest ship, his gaze cold and calculated. "Deploy reconnaissance drones. Scan the planet. The humans are irrelevant," he said. "But resistors are useful." On Earth, the forests, rivers, and plains seemed to hold their breath. For centuries, humanity had believed themselves the masters of the world. But now, a new visitor had come, and the planet responded in ways no human had ever imagined. A deer paused mid-step in a clearing, ears twitching. A flock of birds froze in the trees, wings half-raised, sensing something foreign. Even the winds seemed to hesitate, as if the earth itself had taken notice. The first contact was brutal. Alien drones hovered silently over small towns, scanning and capturing humans for study. Their machines were sleek, silent, and utterly lethal. In the suburbs of a Midwestern town, children screamed, parents tried to fight back with rifles and shotguns that barely scratched the invaders' armor. And then the unexpected happened. From the surrounding forests, shadows moved faster than the eye could follow. Wolves leapt from trees and underbrush, tearing at the legs of the drones, claws shredding wires and metal. Deer scattered in well-timed chaos, colliding with alien vehicles and throwing sensors into the dirt. Birds dove, pecking at cameras and knocking small drones from the sky. Every species that had been catalogued, studied, or ignored suddenly seemed to act with purpose, as if the planet itself had whispered a command, rallying its guardians. Marcus, a survivor who had been trapped in the chaos near the edge of the city, watched in disbelief. It's like they know," he whispered, barely daring to breathe. From his vantage point atop a crumbling overpass, he could see bears charging through abandoned streets, tipping armored vehicles like toys. The alien drones fired, but the bears were relentless, their fur singed by energy blasts, eyes blazing with fury. The humans were secondary, barely noticeable in the carnage. The aliens had expected humanity to be the main obstacle, the worthy prey. Instead, they were met by forces they had never calculated for, Earth itself. Trees uprooted themselves, branches snapping and swiping at mechanical limbs. Rivers swelled unnaturally, carrying walkers and drones into icy currents that shredded their delicate machinery. Even swarms of insects, usually harmless, attacked with an eerie coordination, short-circuiting alien sensors and blinding surveillance systems. Commander Valen's voice roared through the ship. "Suppressors! Deploy suppressors!" Metallic devices erupted from alien carriers, emitting high-frequency pulses meant to stun and immobilize the wildlife. For a moment, it seemed effective, birds faltered, deer stumbled, wolves paused mid-hunt. But it was temporary. The animals adapted, instinctively, in ways the aliens could not comprehend. The wolves split into flanking patterns, the bison herds charged in unison, and the rivers rose faster, pushing machinery aside. Marcus's heart pounded. He ducked behind a fallen streetlight as a drone exploded nearby, showering sparks into the darkening sky. "They're fighting back," he muttered to himself. Fear and awe collided in his chest. He could feel the pulse of the planet through the ground. Alive, aware, and fighting. The animals were not just defending themselves, they were defending humanity in their own way. Above, eagles and hawks dove in precise arcs, tearing through alien sensors with talons sharper than steel. Wolves communicated silently, coordinated through growls and body language. Bears smashed vehicles while elk and bison charged through barricades. The battlefield was no longer human versus alien, it was Earth versus invaders, a planetary defense mechanism activated by an intelligence older and deeper than anything the aliens had ever encountered. Valen gritted his teeth as another drone was ripped apart midair. "They adapt too quickly," he hissed. "This planet is alive." In the chaos, Marcus spotted a massive bear standing atop a toppled drone, surveying the battlefield. It growled not in fear but in command. Around it, other animals responded, as if recognizing a leader, forming an unspoken strategy against the intruders. The air was thick with smoke, ash, and the scent of fear, yet the fear was one-sided. The aliens had come expecting conquest. Instead, they faced a massacre orchestrated by forces they had never imagined. And somewhere in the skies above, massive alien ships hovered, silently observing the slaughter below, unaware that the true defenders of Earth had already begun their fight. The morning sun tried to break through the smoke, but the sky remained a murky swirl of ash and shadow. Alien ships still hung overhead, their sleek black hulls blotting out the light like floating mountains. Below, the cities were silent, abandoned, but the forests and plains stirred with a force the invaders had not anticipated. Marcus crouched behind a crumbling wall at the edge of a ruined suburb, gripping his rifle with trembling hands. He could see them, wolves moving in perfect coordination through the trees, their eyes glinting with intelligence. Not the intelligence of humans, but something older, sharper, instinctive. The creatures weren't hunting for food, they were hunting for the aliens. The first strike came from the skies. Small alien drones descended like metallic hornets, scanning the forest edges and sweeping the streets for any surviving humans. They were fast, precise, and utterly lethal, machines built to subdue entire populations in hours. Marcus held his breath, ready to fire, but the drones never reached him. A wolf leapt from the underbrush with terrifying speed, knocking one drone out of the sky with a single swipe of its paw. Sparks flew, metal twisted, and the machine crashed into the ground with a deafening explosion. Then, as if on cue, a herd of bison charged from the fields beyond the town, horns lowered, hooves pounding the cracked pavement. They slammed into alien patrol units, throwing armored walkers into overturned cars and mangled debris. Marcus blinked in disbelief. It's like they know exactly what to do. Above the chaos, hawks and eagles swooped down, their talons tearing wires from drones mid-flight. The sky filled with a terrifying ballet of predator and prey, where the prey was the deadliest hunter imaginable. Even the smallest creatures were weaponized by instinct. Swarms of insects attacked sensors and wiring, crawling inside mechanical joints and short-circuiting critical systems. From the edge of the forest, a massive grizzly bear emerged, larger than any Marcus had ever seen. It roared, a deafening sound that shook windows and rattled the alien machines. With one swipe of its paw, it crushed the cockpit of a hovering drone, sparks showering like fireworks. Marcus's heart raced as he realized the bear wasn't acting randomly. It was leading, directing, orchestrating the chaos in some strange, primal command structure. The aliens reacted quickly, unleashing their suppressor devices. Pulses of high-frequency energy shot into the battlefield, designed to stun and immobilize animals. Birds faltered mid-flight, wolves stumbled, and even the bison herds paused in confusion. Valen's voice boomed through the comms, sharp and commanding. "Focus fire. Neutralize them before they adapt further." But the wildlife refused to yield. The wolves regrouped instantly, flanking the alien squads from angles the suppressors couldn't reach. Bison shifted direction, charging in unpredictable patterns that knocked over more machinery than a frontal assault ever could. Even the rivers seemed to respond. Swollen by sudden, inexplicable torrents, they swept away alien walkers trying to ford the water. Marcus spotted a pack of humans trapped on a bridge under heavy fire. Without thinking, he ran, dodging debris and sparks, following a path cleared by a giant elk that had appeared seemingly from nowhere. The elk's antlers knocked a hovering drone aside, giving him just enough cover to reach the frightened survivors. "This is insane," whispered one of the humans, a young woman clutching a child. "The animals, they're saving us?" Marcus nodded, eyes fixed on the battlefield. "No," he said slowly. "They're defending the planet." The alien commander, Valen, grew increasingly frustrated. Every tactic, every weapon, every suppressor they deployed failed. "Adaptation impossible," he snarled. "They are not creatures, they are coordinated, intelligent." "How?" Meanwhile, from the hills overlooking the city, a massive shadow moved. A creature unlike anything Marcus had seen. It wasn't a machine, yet it radiated raw, terrifying power. Its eyes glowed faintly as it surveyed the battlefield below, and every animal seemed to react, pausing as if acknowledging a higher command. Wolves howled, birds circled above, and even the bison stopped in unison, heads raised. The battlefield had become more than chaos. It had become a living organism, guided by an unseen intelligence. Marcus felt his knees weaken. What is that?" he whispered, staring at the creature. It didn't move, yet its presence was overwhelming. Even the aliens seemed momentarily paralyzed, unsure whether to attack or retreat. Suddenly, the drones surged again, their weapons firing indiscriminately. But the wildlife had adapted too quickly. Wolves dodged with fluid grace, eagles disarmed the drones mid-flight, and the massive grizzly tore through a squad of alien scouts like they were paper. Sparks flew, metal twisted, and the suppressors failed once more. By the time Marcus looked up again, the battlefield had transformed. Humans hid, unsure whether to fight or flee. The aliens reeled, trying to regain control. And everywhere, wildlife fought with purpose, intelligence, and ferocity beyond comprehension. The first strike had been launched. The planet was fighting back. And Marcus realized, with a mixture of awe and terror, that this was only the beginning. The battlefield had transformed into something unrecognizable. Smoke and ash choked the sky, the sunlight dimmed to a muted gray, and the ground trembled with each thunderous step of the planet's defenders. The aliens had expected an easy conquest. They had not expected a coordinated, intelligent resistance orchestrated by nature itself. Marcus ran along the edge of a crumbling highway, keeping low as he watched the war unfold. Wolves darted between overturned alien vehicles, leaping onto drones with lethal precision. Their teeth sank into wiring, claws shredded metal plating, and they retreated before the suppressors could even fire again. The air was filled with the shriek of metal tearing and the deafening roar of animals in battle. From the plains beyond the city, massive bison herds surged forward, horns lowered, trampling armored walkers like toys. Sparks flew from destroyed machinery as metal bent and twisted under the weight of the relentless animals. Each charge was perfectly timed, as if some unseen force was directing the movement. Marcus's eyes widened. It's like they're thinking. Above the chaos, birds of prey dove with terrifying accuracy. Eagles and hawks ripped through drone cameras, talons clawing wires and tearing sensors apart mid-flight. Even smaller birds contributed, pecking at delicate wiring, disrupting communications. The sky had become a battlefield in 3 dimensions, a swirling dance of feathers, fur and steel. In the river valley, crocodiles waited silently. Alien walkers attempted to cross the water, their legs sinking into the muddy banks. The reptiles struck in perfect unison, dragging machinery under the surface and snapping at metal limbs with jaws strong enough to crush bone and steel alike. For the first time, Marcus realized the aliens' technology was impressive, but fragile against a planet that refused to be tamed. Valen's fury was rising. From the bridge of his flagship, he barked orders that were immediately ignored by the chaos below. Suppressors deployed. Focus fire. Adapt, damn it. Adapt. It was useless. The animals adapted faster than the aliens could anticipate. Wolves flanked from behind, birds struck sensors from above, and even rivers and trees seemed to respond instinctively to the invading force. The suppressors faltered, their energy pulses deflected or neutralized. Every weapon the aliens wielded was being turned against them, every advantage nullified. Marcus ducked as a bear smashed a drone overhead, sending sparks raining down. The sheer size of the creature was terrifying, its roar reverberating through the air, shaking windows and rattling metal. But it wasn't acting alone. A group of elk and deer joined the assault, tripping drones and colliding with alien vehicles. Every step, every movement was calculated, precise and coordinated. "Stay down!" Marcus yelled to the humans huddled near him. Children clung to their parents, eyes wide with fear and awe. The world had shifted. Humans were no longer the masters of the battlefield. They were observers, witnesses to a war being waged by the planet itself. Above, Valen realized something terrifying. "They are communicating," he hissed. "Not like humans, like an intelligence, a network." From the hills on the outskirts of the city, Marcus saw it again, the massive shadow. Larger than any alien ship, it hovered silently, observing. Its presence commanded respect from every creature on the battlefield. Wolves froze mid-pounce, bison paused in their charge, birds circled as if acknowledging a higher authority. The planet's defenders weren't acting randomly, they were following a leader, or perhaps the planet itself was directing them. The alien troops tried to regroup, but it was too late. Drones were falling from the sky, walkers toppled in the streets, and squads of armored invaders were being picked off by coordinated attacks they couldn't anticipate. Even the suppressor pulses failed to stop the carnage, leaving the aliens frustrated and desperate. Marcus ran across a fallen bridge to reach a group of humans trapped by alien walkers. A massive grizzly stepped between him and the nearest machine, paw raised like a hammer. Sparks flew as it smashed the walker, tearing through metal plating with ease. The humans stared, frozen with awe and disbelief. "It's not just the animals," Marcus whispered. "It's the planet." The aliens were realizing it too, but it was too late. Every drone destroyed, every walker toppled, every suppressor neutralized only fueled the animals' momentum. The battlefield had become an extension of the Earth itself, a living, breathing weapon of nature's wrath. And yet, even amidst the chaos, Marcus felt the sense of something greater approaching. The massive shadow in the hills hadn't moved yet, but it radiated power, anticipation, and intelligence. The animals seemed to sense it too, pausing, staring upward. Whatever it was coming, and when it did, the war would reach a scale beyond anything Marcus, or the aliens, could imagine. For the first time, the humans understood that they were witnessing not just a fight for survival, but a battle for the planet itself. And the true battle was only beginning. The city was unrecognizable. Buildings had collapsed under the weight of alien weaponry and the relentless charge of wildlife. Streets were rivers of mud and debris, littered with overturned vehicles and shattered drones. Smoke hung thick in the air, tinged with the acrid scent of burning metal and scorched earth. But amidst the chaos, one thing was clear: the planet was fighting back. Marcus crouched behind a toppled lamppost, eyes wide as he watched the battlefield. Wolves darted between alien squads with almost mechanical precision, their coordinated strikes tearing apart armored vehicles. Eagles and hawks struck from above, knocking cameras and weapons from hovering drones. Massive bison herds surged across the plains, their horns flattening walkers and crushing patrol units alike. Every creature, every movement, was synchronized, a single unstoppable force guided by instinct, or something more. "Adapt, adapt." Commander Valen's voice crackled through comms. His fury was palpable. Every plan, every weapon, every suppressor he had deployed had failed. The aliens were designed to conquer entire worlds with minimal effort, but this planet's defense was unlike anything they had ever encountered. Neutralize them. Now. But the animals had already adapted. The suppressors, once devastating, now seemed ineffective. Wolves ducked and flanked, bison shifted charges to avoid pulses, and rivers seemed to rise and fall with uncanny timing, sweeping away enemy walkers and drowning patrols. Even smaller animals played their part. Squirrels toppled drones from trees, insects short-circuited machinery, and deer collided with armored units with bone-crushing impact. From the riverbank, a pack of crocodiles lunged at the aliens' mechanical walkers. Steel legs buckled under their jaws, circuitry tore, and machines that had once seemed indestructible were reduced to scrap. Marcus could only watch in disbelief. The Earth wasn't just fighting, it was winning. In the chaos, Marcus saw a group of humans trapped in a courtyard, cornered by a squad of alien troops. A massive bear appeared, stepping between them and the invaders. With a roar that echoed like thunder, it struck the nearest walker, tearing through metal plating and sending sparks flying. The humans froze, eyes wide with awe. The bear wasn't just attacking, it was protecting them. Marcus whispered to himself, almost in disbelief, "It's not just the animals, it's the planet." And then he saw it, the shadow. The massive figure loomed over the battlefield from the distant hills. Larger than any alien craft, it moved with deliberate grace, a predator of unimaginable scale. Even the wildlife paused, sensing its presence. Wolves froze mid-hunt, bison stopped in mid-charge, birds hovered in midair, all eyes drawn to the looming silhouette. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. This was not merely a creature. This was a force, a sentinel of the planet itself. Valen's comms erupted in frantic shouting. It is influencing them. It's controlling them. Drones were pulled from formation as animals swarmed unpredictably, flattening troops in patterns no human, or alien, could understand. Even the alien suppressors were rendered useless, their pulses deflected by coordinated strikes from both predator and prey. On the battlefield, chaos reached a fever pitch. Wolves darted in and out of alleyways, dragging down armored patrols. Bison trampled walkers as bears and elk struck from every angle. Even the rivers seemed alive, surging to sweep alien machinery into their currents. The aliens were overwhelmed, unable to predict or counter the combined might of Earth's defenders. Marcus dashed to help a wounded soldier trapped beneath a fallen drone. As he lifted the debris, a massive eagle swooped down, talons ripping the drone's control panel and sending sparks flying. The soldier stared in shock. "The animals, they saved us?" he stammered. "They're saving the planet," Marcus corrected, his voice barely audible over the roar of battle. "And we're just lucky to be alive." Valen's fury turned to desperation. He ordered a full deployment of his elite troops, hoping brute force could overwhelm the planet's defenders. But every step they took was countered. Wolves flanked, bears smashed, birds struck from above, and rivers swallowed walkers whole. The aliens' technology, superior in design, was useless against a world that refused to be conquered. And the shadow watched. Marcus felt its gaze as if it pierced through the smoke and chaos, sizing up every movement, every action. Even the animals seemed aware of its assessment, adjusting their attacks with precision no human could comprehend. The battlefield had become a living organism, every creature a weapon, every attack guided by a force older and wiser than the invaders themselves. Marcus realized something terrifying and exhilarating. Humanity had believed itself the dominant species, the rulers of Earth. But in this moment, they were spectators, witnesses to a war fought by the planet itself. And the shadow promised that the true battle had yet to begin. The aliens might have arrived with technology and firepower, but Earth had something far deadlier, an army united by instinct, intelligence, and an unyielding will to survive. And as the shadow began to descend from the hills, Marcus knew the next wave of destruction would change everything. The air trembled with anticipation. Smoke hung thick over the shattered city, and the acrid scent of scorched metal and earth filled every breath. Alien ships hovered like dark mountains in the sky, their sleek hulls glinting with deadly precision. The ground below, however, was alive, teeming with predators, herds, and an intelligence the invaders could not comprehend. Marcus crouched behind a crumbled wall, heart pounding. From his vantage point, he could see the full scale of the battlefield. Wolves darted between alien squads, teeth sinking into wires and claws shredding armor. Massive bison surged across streets, flattening walkers under thunderous hooves. Eagles and hawks dove from the smoke-filled sky, tearing sensors from drones mid-flight, their wings slicing the air like razors. But nothing compared to what was descending from the distant hills. The massive shadow, larger than any alien ship, glided into the clearing. It was impossible to define its shape, shifting like a living storm of darkness and power. Every creature on the battlefield reacted immediately. Wolves froze mid-leap, birds hovered, and even the massive bison paused mid-charge. The animals weren't fearful, they were acknowledging a commander, a force older than any of them. Valen's voice cracked through comms, sharp with panic. It is directing them. Every attack, every maneuver. It's impossible. His suppressors emitted pulses meant to subdue the wildlife, but the shadow's influence neutralized them instantly. Wolves darted around, attacks coordinated with precision no human or alien could match. The Earth itself had become a weapon, and now its general had arrived. From the rooftops, Marcus watched in awe and terror. The shadow descended with deliberate grace, touching the battlefield with a presence that made the ground vibrate. Wolves split into flanking positions, birds swept in deadly arcs, and bison charged like living battering rams. Even the rivers and forest edges seemed to respond, channeling floods and toppling trees into alien lines. A squad of elite alien troops attempted a counterattack, their plasma rifles blazing. But before they could reach the front line, a massive grizzly emerged, larger than any Marcus had seen before. With a single swipe, it smashed one of the walkers into a pile of smoking scrap. Wolves followed, leaping from rooftops and debris, teeth tearing, claws shredding. Eagles clawed wires from drones mid-flight, and the combined assault turned alien technology into twisted wreckage. Marcus could hardly breathe as a bison herd smashed through armored patrols, flinging machines aside like they were toys. The ground quaked under the coordinated charge, and the shadow above seemed to pulse in response, guiding every attack with unerring precision. Even the suppressors failed again, their energy pulses harmless against the planetary army now fully unleashed. Valen's fury turned to desperation. "Focus all weapons. Bring it down." He pointed to the shadow, but the aliens' most advanced technology could not predict its movements. Every strike they launched was countered before it landed. Wolves circled from unexpected angles, bears toppled armored units, and rivers surged to sweep walkers into rushing currents. The aliens were being butchered, systematically, by forces they could not understand or control. Marcus ducked as an eagle ripped a drone's control panel, sparks flying into his hair. A human child whimpered beside him, wide-eyed with fear and awe. They're all working together," the child stammered. Marcus nodded. "It's not just working together, it's a war led by the planet itself," he whispered, eyes fixed on the shadow above. The massive form descended lower, and the ground seemed to bend beneath its presence. Its movements were precise, purposeful, and terrifyingly intelligent. The massacre had truly begun. Across the battlefield, the aliens struggled to regroup, but it was futile. Every movement was anticipated. Wolves darted through alleyways, bears smashed vehicles, and bison trampled soldiers. Birds of prey tore sensors and weapons from drones in mid-flight. Even the environment itself seemed to fight back. Trees fell with lethal timing, rivers surged with calculated force, and rubble shifted to block alien advances. Valen's last command was drowned out by the chaos. Suppressors failed. Walkers were toppled. Elite troops were scattered like chaff in the wind. The invaders had arrived to conquer a planet, and found themselves prey. Marcus' eyes widened as the shadow extended its influence further, guiding attacks with a precision no human, or alien, mind could predict. The battlefield had become a living organism, every creature a weapon, every action a strike in the planetary massacre. And yet, even as the aliens fell, Marcus understood this was not random. This was intelligence. Strategy. The animals, the rivers, the forests, they were all part of one force. The planet was alive, and it had decided the invaders must be destroyed. The shadow let out a low, resonant pulse, a sound felt more than heard. Wolves howled in unison. Eagles swept in coordinated arcs. Bison surged forward, unstoppable. And Marcus realized, with a shiver, that the first strike of the planetary army was only the beginning. The aliens had thought they were masters. They had thought they could conquer. But Earth had a general they could not see, a commander they could not anticipate, and warriors that would not stop. The massacre had begun, and there would be no mercy.